You're not afraid of intimacy itself. What really scares you is hearing no and feeling foolish afterward. Let's be honest, my friend. You've been in that situation before. You're with a woman who draws you in. The chemistry is undeniable. The eye contact lingers. The energy between you feels warm, charged, almost electric. You want to take it further, not just physically, but deeper, more intimate. Yet the moment you even consider making a move or saying something, your mind races with worst-case scenarios. What if she rejects me? What if I read this wrong? What if everything falls apart? So you play it safe. You stay cool. You talk. You joke. You walk her to the door and then spend the rest of the night replaying what you could have done differently. Meanwhile, another man who understands female psychology and knows how to lead with calm confidence steps into the space you were too hesitant to enter. Here's the reality. Women don't reject intimacy. They reject pressure, awkward energy, and men who treat closeness as a transaction rather than creating a moment that feels natural. In this video, I'll share Stoic, psychologically precise methods to invite intimacy without begging, without making her uncomfortable, and without putting your ego at risk. You'll discover how to make closeness feel effortless, so it naturally feels like her idea too. Let's dive in. Trick 1. Stop asking, start inviting. Most men kill intimacy before it even has a chance to breathe. Not because they're bad guys, not because women don't like them, but because they ask for intimacy as if they're requesting permission to go to the bathroom in 3rd grade. They use weak energy, soft wording, and nervous delivery. Nothing dries up a moment faster than the feeling that a man is uncertain of himself. Here's the shift. Intimacy shouldn't be asked for. It should be invited. There's a massive difference. One says, "Please choose me." The other says, "I like where this energy's going and I'm leading us there calmly without pressure." Women don't respond to begging. They respond to confident direction paired with emotional awareness. Let me ground this with a real example. Picture Mark, 48, divorced for 2 years, finally dating again. He goes out with a woman named Claire, 45. Great connection, effortless conversation. At the end of the night, he blurts out, "Can I kiss you?" The second the words leave his mouth, he regrets it. Not because kissing is wrong, but because the tone sounded like he needed approval. Claire likes him, but the moment becomes awkward. She hesitates. The spark dims, and Mark walks away frustrated. Now compare that to how an invitation works. Instead of asking, he could have said, "Come here for a second," with a relaxed tone and steady eye contact. No pressure, just direction, or during the conversation, lightly touching her hand and seeing if she reciprocates. If she leans in, he matches her energy. If she pulls back, he respects it. That's leadership without force. An invitation creates space for her desire to participate. It brings her into the moment instead of putting her on the spot. Women don't want to be cornered into intimacy. They want to feel like they're stepping into it with you. That's why an invitation works. It keeps her dignity and your masculinity intact. But there's another layer. This isn't just psychology, it's Stoic clarity. Marcus Aurelius taught that you must act without being carried away. That applies deeply here. When you're grounded, you're not chasing an outcome. You're guiding an experience. Your calm presence is what makes her feel safe enough to move closer. Women pick up on your emotional state instantly. If you're tense, she tenses. If you're needy, she resists. But if you're relaxed, self-contained and centered, she naturally softens around you. That's how you create intimacy without turning it into a negotiation. Think of a man like Daniel, 52, successful and confident at work, but shy around women. He invited a woman named Melissa, 44, to his place for a drink. Instead of awkwardly asking, "Do you want to sit closer?" he simply sat down comfortably, opened his body language and patted the seat next to him lightly, saying, "Sit with me." She smiled and came over without hesitation. Why? Because he led. He didn't ask for closeness. He created it. Men lose intimacy when they try to verbally secure permission for something that should unfold naturally. Women don't want a checklist. They want a flow. Your job is to be the anchor that makes that flow possible. Before we move on, drop a quick comment to lock this mindset in. I invite confidence, stick with me. Things are about to get even deeper. Trick 2, create the soft withdrawal effect. This is one of the most misunderstood yet powerful psychological techniques a man can use when it comes to intimacy. It's not manipulative. It's not game playing. It's definitely not about punishing her. It's about shifting the emotional balance so she feels a pull toward you instead of pressure coming from you. Most men chase harder when they want intimacy. They push, they hover, they over-engage, they try to prove themselves. Ironically, the more they try, the more a woman's desire shuts down. Why? Because pressure erases polarity. The masculine pushes forward, the feminine moves away when she feels overwhelmed. But when you create a soft withdrawal, her energy has space to move toward you again. What exactly is soft withdrawal? It's not going cold, it's not acting distant, it's not ignoring her. It's simply removing the emotional urgency from your side. It's stepping back just enough for her to feel the absence of your pursuit. When done right, it makes a woman recalibrate her interest, her attention, and yes, her desire. This technique is rooted deeply in Stoic behavior. Epictetus said, "Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want." Most men approach intimacy that way. They want it so badly that they contract around it. Their need becomes visible. Their energy becomes heavy. Women sense that heaviness instantly. Soft withdrawal breaks that contract. You stop needing anything from her. You stop pushing for closeness. You relax into your own presence. You return to yourself. And suddenly, she feels the difference. Here's how it works in real-life moments. Let's say you've been flirting. Energy is good. She seems receptive. But instead of hovering emotionally or trying to escalate too quickly, you slow down the pace. You let her feel the silence. You let her wonder just a little. You pull back, not physically running away, but energetically stepping into a calmer, more grounded version of yourself. She laughs at something you said. Instead of doubling down, you smile and let the moment sit. She touches your arm. Instead of overreacting, you acknowledge it lightly. She shares something personal. Instead of jumping in too fast, you absorb, breathe, and respond with masculine calm. This creates a dynamic where she becomes the one leaning in. She becomes the one closing the space. She becomes the one seeking reassurance, not because you manipulated her, but because you removed the pressure that normally suffocates attraction. Women are far more sensitive to energetic overcommitment than men are. When you're too emotionally available, she feels it. When you're too eager, she notices. When she senses that you're already mentally in the bedroom while she's still in the conversation, her instincts tell her to slow down or step back. Soft withdrawal prevents that collapse. It lets her desire breathe. It honors her psychology and your masculinity. A Stoic man does not cling. He does not demand. He does not rush. He stands ready. As Marcus Aurelius said, without forcing anything, you're showing that intimacy with you is a choice, not an obligation. You are giving her room to want you. Lock this mindset in with a comment. I release pressure. Stay with me. What's coming next will shift the way you understand feminine desire forever. Trick 3, plant the thought of closeness naturally. All right, my friend. This is where things get subtle, powerful, and dangerously effective when done right. Most men try to jump straight into intimacy with blunt statements or awkward hints. But if you want a woman to actually want closeness with you, the desire has to feel like it came from her mind, not your pressure. That's exactly what this trick is about. Planting the thought of closeness isn't manipulation. It's guiding her imagination in a direction she already feels comfortable moving toward. When a woman desires a man, it almost always starts in her mind long before it reaches her body. If you spark the right emotions, the right curiosity, the right internal picture, she begins to fill in the details herself. The key is to do it indirectly, casually and naturally. Let me give you a real example you can picture. Imagine a man named David, 44, recently divorced and getting back into dating. He meets Alyssa, 41, at a friend's gathering. There's chemistry, but it's early. If David pushes too soon, he'll kill it. Instead, he plants gentle seeds. When she laughs and lightly touches his shoulder, he doesn't escalate physically. He simply smiles and says, "You know, you've got a way of making people feel calm around you." Boom. He just associated closeness with comfort, something feminine psychology is deeply wired to respond to. Or when they're talking about weekend plans, David says, "I like connections that feel easy, the kind where the energy flows naturally." Again, no pressure, no demands, just planting a thought. Closeness with him feels effortless. Alyssa now starts imagining what that ease might feel like with him. He didn't tell her what to do. He didn't ask for intimacy. He simply shaped the emotional lens through which she sees him. This is what planting thoughts looks like. You're not telling her, "I want to be close." You're showing her that closeness with you would feel safe, enjoyable, and mutual. Now here's why it works so well. Women respond powerfully to emotional framing. If you frame intimacy as something heavy, serious, or urgent, she'll pull back. But if you frame it as something light, natural, and shared, her mind starts to lean into it. One more example from a slightly different angle. Let's say Alyssa asks David how he handles stress. Instead of giving a factual answer, he says, "Honestly, I'm a physical person. Good conversation, good energy, good company. It helps me reset." Read between the lines. He just connected emotional well-being with shared closeness. She hears it, she feels it, and her mind begins to imagine being part of that experience. My friend, here's the secret. You don't need to create desire. You just need to create the invitation for her imagination to do the work. When a woman starts imagining intimacy with you, how it feels, how it looks, how your energy blends with hers, that desire becomes self-generated. And self-generated desire is the strongest form there is. Before we move on, drop this in the comments to lock it into your mindset. I guide her imagination. Stick with me. The next move will take this psychology even deeper. Trick 4. Lead her into her feminine energy. Let me break this down clearly, my friend, because this is where most men fall flat without even realizing it. If you want a woman to feel open to intimacy, you cannot drag her there with words, pressure, or reassurance. You have to lead her into the emotional space where her feminine energy naturally opens. When a woman feels feminine, she becomes receptive. When she feels receptive, closeness feels like her idea, not yours. And that shift only happens when you stand firmly in your masculine center. Here's what men usually get wrong. They try to create intimacy by acting soft, overly gentle, or overly emotional. They think that if they mirror feminine energy, she will feel safe. But that actually does the opposite. When you match her softness, she unconsciously feels like she needs to take the lead emotionally. And the moment she feels like she's leading, desire turns off. Leading her into her feminine energy starts with you holding your masculine ground. Not by acting tough, not by acting cold, but by being steady, calm, directed, and unshakable. This is where Stoicism becomes your advantage. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." Women feel this. They feel your calm the way they feel warmth from a fire. Masculine calm invites feminine softness. Masculine direction inspires feminine flow. Masculine patience awakens feminine desire. So how do you lead her into her feminine energy? You do it through tone, pacing, presence, and grounded confidence. When she's talking, you don't rush. When she opens up, you don't over-explain. When she shows emotion, you don't match it. You hold space for it. When she flirts, you don't explode with excitement. You respond with relaxed certainty. This communicates one clear message: I'm steady. You can relax into this. Here's how it plays out in real conversation. Let's say she's telling you about a stressful day. The average man jumps into problem-solving or emotional mirroring. But a masculine, steady man listens and replies with something like, "Take a breath. You're all right." It's simple, calm, directive. She exhales. Her body relaxes. Her feminine energy opens. Or maybe she's teasing you lightly. Instead of getting flustered, you smirk and say, "You're trouble, aren't you?" It's playful, grounded, and subtly dominant. She softens instantly. Leading a woman into her feminine energy is not about doing more. It's about being more. When you slow your energy, she naturally drops into hers. When you stay grounded, she feels safe going deeper. When you speak calmly, she leans in. When you are present, she feels seen. This is what allows intimacy to unfold with zero pressure. Now let me remind you of something important. A woman cannot enter her feminine if you're stuck in emotional chaos. You must become the anchor, the one who doesn't waver, the one who embodies composure. Before we continue, my friend, if you want to learn the advanced techniques I cannot teach publicly, the Stoic masculine practices, the deeper psychological triggers, and the intimacy frameworks that actually work, join the membership inside. I break everything down at a level YouTube simply won't allow. Now drop this line in the comments to lock the mindset in place. I lead with calm strength. Don't go anywhere. What comes next will shift the way you interact with women forever. Trick 5, ask for a feeling, not a yes. All right, my friend. This one separates boys from men because most guys think intimacy is about getting verbal permission, a green light, some kind of yes. But that's not how feminine desire works. Women don't move because of logic. They move because of emotion. If she doesn't feel the moment, she will say no, even if she likes you. And if she does feel the moment, the yes happens naturally without you needing to force anything. So instead of asking for a yes, you ask for a feeling. Let me show you exactly what this looks like in real life. Imagine a man named Eric, 52, recently widowed and slowly learning to date again. He meets Melissa, 49, through mutual friends. They've gone out twice. There's chemistry, but Melissa is cautious. If Eric asks directly for intimacy, "Do you want to come over?" or "Can I kiss you?" he risks pushing her out of the emotional space she needs to stay in. Instead, he focuses on feelings, not decisions. When they're talking at the end of the night, Eric doesn't ask, "Do you want to stay longer?" He says, "I like the energy we have right now. Feels easy." He's not asking for a yes. He's highlighting an emotion they are both experiencing. Melissa now feels safe staying in the moment. She's not pressured, she's invited. Later, when they're sitting closer, maybe he touches her hand gently, not grabbing, not squeezing, just grounding the moment. He doesn't ask, "Is this okay?" He says softly, "This feels nice." That one line gives her full agency while still deepening connection. If she leans in, he matches it. If she pulls away, he respects it without losing composure. This is the masculine approach. You lead the moment, but you let her feelings guide the direction. Why does this work so well? Because when you ask for a yes, you trigger her logical brain. When you ask for a feeling, you activate her feminine emotional brain. Women enter intimacy through emotional resonance, not verbal negotiations. Your job is not to get permission. Your job is to create the emotional atmosphere where everything feels natural. Another example with Eric and Melissa. Let's say they're walking after dinner. Instead of asking, "Do you want to hold hands?" Eric simply says, "It feels good being close to you." She'll either naturally move closer or she won't. No pressure, no awkwardness, no psychological resistance. And here's the deeper layer you need to understand. When you focus on feeling instead of permission, you show emotional intelligence. You show that you're present. You show that you're tuned into the moment instead of chasing an outcome. Women crave this kind of presence, especially women in their 40s, 50s and beyond. This is also where Stoicism plays a crucial role. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." Freedom here means emotional freedom. Freedom from neediness, from overthinking, from grasping for validation. When you're not desperate for a yes, you act with calm, grounded confidence that makes a woman feel safe opening up. And when a woman feels safe, desire becomes natural. She doesn't feel pushed, she feels chosen, she feels understood, and she feels connected to you emotionally, not just physically. So let me make this crystal clear. Your goal is not to secure a yes. Your goal is to create a moment she wants to stay in. Before we move forward, lock this in with a comment. I lead through feeling. Stay tuned, because the next insight will reshape the way you create intimacy from the ground up. Trick 6. Mirror her desire back to her. My friend, this is where intimacy stops being something you try for and becomes something she feels pulled into. Most men either ignore a woman's signals or overreact to them. They miss the balance point. The truth is simple. Women fall into intimacy when their own desire is reflected back to them in a grounded, masculine way. That's what mirroring is. Not copying, not imitating, not matching her energy like some beginner dating trick. It's showing her that you see her desire without pouncing on it. Let's break this down clearly. Women communicate attraction in subtle, layered ways: a softer tone, a longer pause, proximity, a question that doesn't need to be asked, a glance that lasts a beat too long. Most men either miss these signs or get so excited they jump the gun and kill the moment. Mirroring desire means this: when she opens a little, you open a little. When she slows her energy, you slow your energy. When she leans in emotionally, you deepen your presence. When she signals warmth, you acknowledge it calmly instead of exploding with enthusiasm. This creates a powerful psychological loop. She expresses, you reflect. She deepens, you ground. And slowly the emotional bridge between you two becomes solid. This technique is pure Stoic masculine energy. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Meaning, don't overthink, don't assume you know what she wants, don't try to jump ahead, be present enough to respond, not react. When you mirror her desire, you're not leading with your agenda, you're leading with your awareness. And awareness is what makes a woman feel safe enough to let her feminine energy bloom. Here's how it works in conversation. Let's say she lowers her voice a little. Most men either don't notice or match the softness in a way that feels forced. But a grounded man responds with a slower pace, steadier tone, and deeper eye contact. He mirrors the emotion, not the behavior. Or maybe she touches your arm lightly while laughing. An inexperienced man grabs her hand instantly. A needy man leans in too hard. But a masculine man simply lets his shoulder relax toward her. That micro shift tells her, "I'm here, I'm receptive, I see you." Nothing forced, nothing rushed. Another version, she opens up emotionally. Instead of dumping your own story or giving advice, you say, "I hear you," simple, present, grounded. You're mirroring the vulnerability without collapsing into it. And here's why this works so effectively. When a woman feels her own desire mirrored back at her, she feels understood. When she feels understood, she relaxes. When she relaxes, intimacy becomes natural instead of pressured. Mirroring is also the antidote to one of the biggest intimacy killers: performance energy. When you're trying to impress, prove yourself, or be sexy, you're out of sync with her emotional rhythm. But when you mirror thoughtfully, you fall into the same emotional frequency she's already in, and that makes her want to move closer, almost without realizing why. A Stoic man leads by presence, not push. He responds to reality instead of forcing his expectations. And when you practice mirroring, that presence becomes magnetic. Anchor this mindset by saying, "I match her energy with strength." Stick with me, because the next insight will shift the way women experience desire around you. Trick 7. Let the moment make the move. Listen closely, because this is where most men destroy the connection without realizing it. They try to force the moment. They rush. They overthink. They look for the perfect line, the perfect timing, the perfect opportunity. And the more they try to manufacture intimacy, the more they smother the natural energy that's already there. Women don't fall into closeness because a man pushes. They fall into closeness because the moment pulls them in. Letting the moment make the move means this: you stop trying to create the perfect opening and instead learn to recognize it when it naturally appears. Picture Jason, 46, a financially stable, self-improving man who recently started dating again. He meets Hannah, 43, a warm, feminine woman who enjoys deep conversations but is guarded about intimacy. They go out for a late evening coffee. The chemistry is there, but subtle. Most men in Jason's shoes would try to escalate the moment with a sudden compliment, a clumsy touch, or a direct request. But Jason has learned something powerful. Feminine desire flows through atmosphere, not pressure. So instead of pushing, he pays attention. They're sitting closer than when they arrived. The conversation slows. Hannah tucks her hair behind her ear, glances away, then looks back at him. She leans in just a little when she laughs. Her voice softens. Her legs cross toward him, not away. These are small signals, but they're the moment building itself. Jason doesn't force anything. He doesn't rush. He doesn't break the flow with a nervous joke or a blunt question. He simply leans into the energy that's already present. At one point, Hannah pauses mid-sentence, smiling quietly. That silence, that softness, is the moment showing up. Instead of making a bold move, Jason lets the connection breathe. He lowers his voice slightly and says, "This is nice being here with you." He's not asking. He's not implying. He's naming the moment they're already in. Because he's calm, steady, and attuned, Hannah feels safe leaning closer. She initiates the touch, her hand brushing his lightly. The moment made the move, not him. This is what most men never learn. When you try to force intimacy, a woman feels like she has to protect herself. But when you let the moment unfold, she feels like she can go with it without guilt, fear, or second-guessing. Letting the moment make the move takes patience, awareness, and masculine restraint. And restraint is deeply attractive. A Stoic man isn't rushed by desire. He lets the world come to him. Marcus Aurelius said, "Let nature take its course and be content." In intimacy, the course of nature is the energy between you and her. Your job isn't to control it. Your job is to guide it gently, then follow its lead. Here's the secret. When a woman feels like she stepped into the moment by choice, she becomes far more open to touch, closeness, and intimacy because it feels emotionally honest. Jason didn't create the moment. He recognized it, he honored it, and she followed it. Anchor the mindset by saying, "I trust the moment." Stay present, because what comes next will show you how to turn these moments into irresistible momentum. Trick 8. Build tension without breaking respect. This is where attraction becomes electric, magnetic, and emotionally charged without ever crossing the line into pressure or disrespect. Get this right, and you create the exact environment where a woman chooses intimacy because the moment feels both exciting and safe. Most men either build too much tension and come off aggressive, or too little tension and come off boring. The art is in the balance. Tension is not about being sexual. It is not about pushing. It is not about teasing her into discomfort. Tension is simply the emotional space between two people where possibility is alive. And women love possibility. When a woman loses interest, it's almost always because the man broke the tension too soon, either by rushing, over-explaining, begging for clarity, or trying too hard. Respect is what allows the tension to exist without collapsing into pressure. This is where Stoicism becomes your greatest ally. Seneca said, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." That line is the foundation of healthy tension. If you can stay calm, grounded, and in control of yourself, even when the energy between you and her heats up, you become irresistible. Here's exactly how to build tension without crossing the line. Slow the pace of your interactions. Don't rush your words. Don't jump on every opportunity. Don't react emotionally when she shows warmth. Your calmness gives her space to feel excitement without fear. Stay present instead of leaning into outcome thinking. You're not thinking, how do I get intimacy? Your mindset is, let me enjoy the energy we're in right now. This presence makes a woman relax and lean in further. Use subtle contrast. If she moves closer, don't smother her. If she softens her voice, don't become overeager. Match her softness with grounded warmth, not neediness. This creates a push-pull dynamic women naturally respond to, where her feminine openness meets your masculine restraint. Frame tension positively. If the conversation slows and the silence grows warm, don't break it awkwardly. Say something simple like, "This feels nice." Acknowledge the moment without grabbing it. Respect is maintained. Tension stays alive. Don't weaponize tension. A man who uses tension to manipulate loses all masculine credibility. A man who uses tension to create connection becomes unforgettable. When done correctly, tension becomes a shared emotional dance, not something you impose. Women want intimacy with men who can handle intensity without losing themselves. If she feels like you're swept away by desire, she pulls back. But if she feels you can stand in that fire with calm control, she opens. That control is what Stoicism teaches. Not coldness, not indifference, but the ability to feel deeply without being ruled by those feelings. Tension without respect becomes pressure. Respect without tension becomes friendship. But tension balanced with respect becomes desire. That's where you want to live. Anchor the mindset by saying, I build tension with calm. Don't go anywhere. The next trick brings everything together and makes intimacy feel effortless for both of you. Trick 9, make her comfort feel like chemistry. This is one of the most misunderstood secrets in female psychology. Men think chemistry is all about sparks, flirting, and sexual energy. While that plays a role, real feminine desire is built on something far deeper. Comfort that feels exciting. Not boring comfort, not friend zone comfort, but comfort that feels like connection, warmth, and emotional gravity. When a woman feels this kind of comfort with you, she doesn't just like being around you, she craves being around you. And here's the key, you create this type of chemistry not by performing, not by being overly charming, and not by pushing sexual energy, but by grounding her emotions while keeping a masculine spark alive. Let me show you exactly what that looks like with a real example. Meet Mark, 55, successful, stable, but recently out of a long-term relationship. He starts casually seeing Lauren, 50, a soft-spoken, intelligent woman with a naturally cautious heart. She enjoys his company, but she guards her emotional space tightly. If Mark tries to create chemistry by being overly bold, he'll overwhelm her. If he plays it too safe, he'll bore her. So, he chooses the middle path. He makes comfort feel like chemistry. How? By combining masculine steadiness with subtle emotional intimacy. During one of their early dates, they're sitting outside at a quiet rooftop bar. Lauren is talking about her job stress. Most men would jump into problem solving or try to be charming. Not Mark. He listens, really listens, and responds with something simple like, "You carry a lot. I can hear it in your voice." He's not giving advice. He's not fixing anything. He's showing emotional awareness. Lauren exhales one of those long, unguarded exhales women make when they feel understood. She relaxes. Her shoulders drop. She leans slightly closer. That's chemistry born from comfort. Later, while the conversation softens, Mark lets silence sit for a moment. He doesn't rush to fill it. He doesn't make a joke out of nervousness. He lets the quiet feel warm instead of awkward. Then he adds something like, "It's easy being around you." Simple, grounded, honest, yet emotionally powerful. Lauren's feminine energy responds because she feels seen, not judged, safe, not pressured, and connected, not overwhelmed. This balance is what most men never master. They create comfort without spark, or spark without comfort, and lose the woman either way. But when you combine both, something important happens. She associates her emotional ease with you. She associates her emotional warmth with your presence. She associates her inner calm with your energy. And once that link is formed, she naturally desires more closeness, not because you asked for it, but because her body and mind begin to seek it. Here's the deeper psychology behind this. When a woman feels safe and attracted at the same time, her guard drops effortlessly. She feels feminine, she feels open, she feels drawn in without knowing why. And when you give a woman this kind of comfort, intimacy becomes a natural extension, not something she has to think about or decide. Before we move on, lock this into your mindset. I make comfort magnetic. Now stay with me. The final trick will tie everything together and show you how to turn natural chemistry into something unforgettable. Trigger desire by staying unrushed. Let's slow this down for a second. This final trick is the one that ties everything together. If you understand this, intimacy stops being something you pursue and becomes something women naturally move toward. And the irony is almost funny. The less rushed you are, the more she feels desire rising inside her. Women are not attracted to a man who is in a hurry. They're attracted to a man who seems like he has time, composure, and self-control. Why? Because staying unrushed communicates three things that feminine psychology is wired to respond to. First, it signals abundance. A man who is unrushed acts like someone who isn't desperate for a woman's attention, approval, or body. He behaves like someone who has options, purpose, and internal strength. This instantly makes him more attractive. Second, it signals emotional stability. Women want to feel that the man they are getting close to is grounded enough to hold the moment. If you rush, you break the emotional frame. If you stay calm, she feels safe inside it. Third, it signals masculine patience, one of the greatest intimacy triggers of all. Let's bring this into a real-life moment. Imagine a man named Brian, 48, confident, successful, but recently divorced. He meets Jenna, 45, at a small wine tasting event. There's chemistry from the start, but she's cautious. She's been chased aggressively before and it turned her off. She doesn't want pressure. She wants to feel something real. Brian gets this instinctively. Instead of rushing the interaction, he lets the moments unfold naturally. When Jenna laughs, he doesn't jump in to escalate. He lets her enjoyment breathe. When she stands closer to him, he doesn't immediately reach out. He matches the closeness with grounded presence, not hunger. At one point, Jenna asks, "So what are you looking for?" A rushed man would take that as an opening to pour his heart out or push the connection forward. Brian simply smiles and says, "I enjoy good energy. Everything else can take its time." That one line changes everything. He's not trying to define the moment. He's not trying to jump ahead. He's not trying to lock anything in. He's showing that he values the present more than the outcome. And here's what happens. The woman begins to lean in emotionally. She fills the space he leaves open. She becomes curious. She initiates more eye contact. Her feminine energy activates because she doesn't feel chased. She feels invited. Another moment between Brian and Jenna. They're walking outside after the event. The air is cool, the night quiet. Jenna slows her pace, an unconscious sign that she's open to more connection. Brian notices, but he doesn't push. He says, "Nice night to take it slow." Just a simple observation, yet it frames the entire moment. By not rushing, he creates a space where intimacy feels natural. Her body relaxes, her guard softens. She starts seeing him as a man she can let herself feel with. This is what most men never understand. When you rush, you move ahead of her emotions. When you slow down, you sync with them, and syncing is what creates desire. A Stoic man understands this deeply. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly. Intimacy is exactly that, a great thing. It grows subtly, slowly, steadily. The unrushed man lets the chemistry build on its own, instead of trying to force it into existence. That patience becomes magnetic. Your calm becomes her invitation. Your pace becomes her comfort. Your steadiness becomes her desire. And the moment she feels that, the door to intimacy opens effortlessly. That's the power of being unrushed." Conclusion, we just broke down the 10 psychological tricks that let you move toward intimacy without pressure, without fear, and without getting rejected. If you use them with calm intention and strength, you'll create the kind of connection most men never experience because they're too rushed or too anxious to let real chemistry build. If you want the deeper techniques, advanced Stoic frameworks, and uncensored guidance I can't teach publicly, join the membership. That's where the real growth happens. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's video.